To me, I think lecture is very big a word, very heavy, but I'm going to just share my mind, just open my mind and share what we have done, what we have learned in the process. Some of my colleagues from SHARP have decided to kindly come here and support me here. So if you have any more questions regarding sensors or anything that we are doing, we are more than happy to share more details. Yeah. End of the day and before everything, we are salesmen. Yeah? So the general manager is just a title, but everybody from sales department is a salesman first. That's what I believe. So let's go into Internet of Things. Firstly, what is IoT or what is Internet of Things? I'm sure everybody would have this question on the mind, and I decided to put a little simple definition on the screen to just get the day going. Yeah? So IoT is a system of interconnected computing devices. Okay, so it's devices that can count something, that can measure something, that can take some action, or objects with unique identifiers, because we need some identity to each device to know that this device is in the bedroom on the window number 1, or that device is in the living room on window number 3, something like that. So a little bit of identity to each device that can then exchange data over network without human intervention. Yeah, and that's what technology is about, isn't it? It gives us the liberty to be lazy and yeah. So that is in very simple sense what IoT is, and we are going to visit through some of the more let's say examples of it until Dr. Song then shares a little bit more deep dive. Yeah, so my presentation is a little bit like snorkeling. You just wear the thing, just happy, go around and check out what it is, and then Dr. Song will take you, like a scuba diving, which is much detail and a lot of theories coming in. Yeah? So let's say the Global Standards Initiative calls it the infrastructure of the information society. Yeah, and that's how important IoT is. Okay. There is one more term that comes very often and always asked, and which is Industry 4.0. So I decided to just share a little bit about what Industry 4.0 is, and I think that would just put us in a better perspective. So as we know, the first industrial revolution was the mechanization, mainly powered by, let's say, steam power. The invention of steam engine changed the industry. Yeah, that is the first industrial revolution. The second one came with electricity, when the whole industry changed. And the third one came with computing, or computers, somewhere in late 20th century. And the 21st century industrial revolution is what will come with cyber physical systems, or things like IoT, things like analytics. Yeah? And this revolution is called the fourth revolution, and therefore Industry 4.0. Yeah? The next slide puts us into a little bit more perspective again of what is IoT and what is Industry 4.0, because a lot of questions are, it's about the same thing. It's maybe almost there. It's true. It's very much of an overlap between Industry 4.0 and IoT. Just that Industry 4.0 focuses on manufacturing, leveraging on a lot of technologies, including IoT, and analytics and communication and so on. Okay, whereas IoT is a much more wider, and it covers pretty much any smart connected device. So that's what is IoT, and a little perspective as what we can see. I hope the sensor. So Industry 4.0 comes more from the industrial point of view, and IoT makes it much wider. I think a lot of us are wearing the IoT bands on us already. Yeah. Okay. This is a little forecast of IoT devices. Yeah. And thanks to Cisco for this slide. Now today, as we are talking, somewhere in 2016, we have roughly 4 devices per person walking on Earth. Yeah. Now there are a lot of countries who are not as fortunate as us, and they don't have any device, connected to the net per person. So that goes to say that in developed world, which we are part of, there are many more devices already connected to the world. Yeah. And still, this IoT will have a big growth factor. Yeah. To the extent that by 2020, we are expecting 50 billion devices connected to the network. Yeah? And this comes to roughly, if you calculate absolutely 6.4 or 6.5 devices per person. Let's say 7. Yeah, so that is the amount of devices that will be connected to the internet, and that makes the IoT network. And next comes, what is the business value of it? I mean, yeah, so what? Yeah. So there are several estimates of that, varying from 2-digit to, I even saw some aggressive estimates going to 3 digits. But the most conservative estimate that I saw roughly is about 4, and I put it at $7 billion US dollars. Okay. Now, I confess the 7 billion in 2020 doesn't look as attractive as the 12 million tomorrow, is it? Yeah. I think we Singaporeans follow it. Yeah? But anyway, that's the business potential, and business is always about, looking forward. Yeah? So this is what we call as the Gartner hype cycle. Yeah? Now, a very common comment in the industry, that's a hype. And salespeople, including myself, like to hype up things. Oh, that's going to be the next technology, you must get it, and so on. But Gartner normally maps each of the technology, and maybe just a quick, let's say, a snapshot of what the hype cycle is. This curve is where the technologies are just coming and budding. Yeah, this curve is where we call it the peak of the expectations. Yeah, and then a lot of times some of the technologies actually come down because the hype goes off and the implementation doesn't really deliver what it's supposed to do. Yeah? And then you start what we call as the slope of enlightenment, where there is a organic or more realistic, more practical growth in the business. Now, where is IoT in this? And I put a little zoom up to the peak of this. Okay, and if you see, the Internet of Things has been there for 3 years in a row of the Gartner hype cycle, and that gives the importance of IoT in business or in practice. Yeah? Now, maybe a bit too heavy. I told you we'll just go snorkeling, enjoy the small fish. Yeah? So let's watch a bit of video, perhaps. So this will just lighten up and give us an example of IoT.
I hate brushing my teeth. It's another chore I want to get done as fast as humanly possible.
I know, it's terrible dental hygiene. But over the last week, I've cleaned up my act, or at least my teeth, with a new Bluetooth toothbrush.
I didn't say blue teeth, I said blue tooth. This is Oral-B's Smart Series electric toothbrush. It pairs with your iPhone or your Android phone to coach you through your brushing regimen and gives you feedback on your brushing habits. I know. Do we really need this? What's next? Bluetooth toilet paper? For a gadget lover like me, it's been really helpful. I've been spending way more time in here, brushing my teeth.
That's the main goal, to get you brushing for the dentist recommended 2 minutes. As soon as you pair the phone and the brush and begin brushing, the clock starts, prompting you to move to another quadrant of your mouth every 30 seconds.
You can also customize the timer with your mouth to see what area you should be focusing on.
The app and the brush will alert you if you're brushing too hard, but you can also extend the brushing session and program in some more focused care, adding a few extra seconds to a specific area. Oral-B suggests working with your dentist on this. So I called up my dentist.
Joanna, the best place for you to focus is on the lingual side, the tongue side of your lower anterior teeth, your lower front teeth. And of course, you can continue to floss every day.
Sorry, no Bluetooth floss yet. She was happy to hear that when you're all done, it prompts you to clean your tongue with the brush and then floss. Then you get a summary of your entire session and a smiley face. But my favorite part of the app is that it distracts you during the 2-minute brushing process with news headlines, your calendar, weather, brushing tips, and inspirational quotes.
Trust yourself and you will know how to live. Things I always wanted to know while brushing my teeth. Unfortunately, in the app, you can't customize it with your own social media feeds or other news sources.
But I do wish there was a place in the app to see if it was connected to the brush and to see the remaining battery life.
The package should also include some sort of screen protector for your phone.
Toothpaste is not a recommended spring cleaner. The Smart Series is on sale now in Europe and will be available in the US this fall for $159. There'll be 2 other cheaper Bluetooth brushes coming out later this year. Look how clean these teeth are. Sure, there's still lots of other things I'd rather be doing for 2 minutes than brushing my teeth, but putting Bluetooth in a toothbrush and the phone in my hand has certainly encouraged me to brush longer and better.
Now, only if I could give up these blue lollipops.
Okay, jokes apart, and that video was, it's a true fact of IoT. It's a little bit old actually, and but I thought it's very, very relevant to the talk today. So we put it up. If you'd like to show it to your kids or friends or so on, just type in Wall Street Journal, WSJ on YouTube, Bluetooth toothbrush, and then you get that video. Yeah, we played it from YouTube just now. So jokes apart, but IoT is already a serious business, yeah? And what kind of business people are doing already, or it's about saving money or generating money. Johnson Controls, they can do maybe $300,000 in hourly downtime costs. Okay, Rolls-Royce, they can save by, and we are going to see a little bit more detail of this. They can save $250,000 per year per plane. Yeah, and I'm going to show you how they operate, yeah, in a later part of the story by deploying or leveraging IoT. Yeah. And Rockwell Automation, let's say 300,000 per day. So the list goes on and on. List goes on and on. But there is huge potential, proven potential, as this slide shows. Yeah. Okay, now this is again a little bit of what we call a bit chim, but in local language. But please bear with me, and we'll anyway go. I'll kind of hide some things to just see what we want to see. So in IoTs, let's say these are the layers that we use, okay? And the first one, let's say, is the devices, okay? The second one is the connectivity, and third comes the data and the analytics that we generate. Yeah? Let's go a little bit one-to-one. Devices, okay? Now, these are the things in the Internet of Things, okay? And what are they made of? Generally, is all about making sense or sensing. Yeah? You have heat sensors, you have thermal sensors, you have flow sensors, distance measuring sensors, light sensors, yeah? All types of sensors which are sensing. Okay, now is daytime, so the curtains must be closed. Now is night time, so curtains must be open. So all these decisions are based on data, and this data is picked up from the real world by the sensors. Okay, so these are the spies of the Internet of Things network in the real world, if you like to put it that way, to just make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, we Sharp, we make a lot of distance sensors, and Abhishek, this is not Sharp promotion, it's just a bit of relevant to the topic. Yeah, so we make a lot of distance measuring sensors, and I was joking with my friends with the pachinko craze that we saw. I think we need to have every little place a little sensor saying, oh, you are too close, now please move ahead, or please move back, something like that. So joke apart, but this is again, some of the examples that you would see in real life. Moving to the next layer, which is connectivity. Okay, connectivity is everything from, let's say, what we know, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, you name it, and these are all different protocols, that we already use. A lot of them we already use, just to communicate what is on these devices to the network. Yeah, and I'll show you a little article from the Singapore My Paper newspaper. This was about mid of last year, and I found it very interesting, so I just chucked it in my desk. Came in handy for this presentation. Yeah? So what it says is SK Telecom in Korea is starting the first network specialized for IoT. Yeah? And it's based on what you call as LoRaWAN, or low range wide area network. Now, why low range is because IoT devices, as we just discussed, they sense small little things. There is light or no light. Yeah, there is just somebody in the way or not way. That's it. So this is very small amount of data. Yeah, and at the same time, we want these sensors to work somewhere in the field, far away, maybe without an electric connection. You want the battery to last really, really long. So you have newer networks which are specializing not on high data and high speeds, but low data but very economic battery life. Yeah, so this forms a little new introduction into communications in IoT. Yeah, and then comes the data and the analysis. Yeah, now the cream is all here. Yeah, is the all the data, all the what you do with IoT, the intelligence is all here. I just and this is turning let's say software as a service or analysis as a service into reality. and which can be picked up. Each one has its own advantages, disadvantages. I don't recommend any today, but there is a lot of choice. That's the key point. Now, risks and concerns of IoT. We are putting every little thing on the net, yeah, and the biggest, of course, there are a lot of concerns of IoT that come up on the way, which are very natural, very, let's say, you can call it as teething issues and so on. Nija, I need your help. Yeah. And a lot of points like with scalability is an issue, connecting, some old systems, some new systems, matching them is an issue or so on. But the biggest one, as you could have already guessed, is security. Okay. And to me, simply to say, I'll put it this way, if I can do it easily, then somebody else can do it as well. In brackets, maybe a bit of extra effort, but somebody can tap it as well. So that's the security motto. And with IoT devices being simplistic, just now as I mentioned, low battery and so on. So the processors that are used in these devices are usually simpler. Okay, and security and encryption is all about strength of processing. So it's a little contradiction there, but again, things are coming up to save. So I think here I'll get a little, YouTube. Give me a moment, Nija. So yeah, maybe have a look. I think this video shows a little implementation issue. Yeah, how we humans are using things and what can go wrong when it's not implemented well. So we'll run a little bit of this video because I think we have limitation on time. But you can always go back to YouTube, type in the media speaker raised let's say ordered dollhouse on Amazon, and then you will get this video. But we'll play a bit of it today, please.
Who has an Alexa? Turn down your TV set just a little bit. Alexa, the internet-connected home assistant device. She's listening.
Yes, she is. The Amazon Echo system, which does everything from getting your weather report to ordering more laundry detergent, can also do some things that you don't want it to. Carlos Correa is live in our newsroom to show us how to use the new voice command technology without draining your bank account. Pretty important, Carlos.
Yeah, the device is pretty awesome. The microphone's ability to pick up the word Alexa being spoken at almost any volume and from almost anywhere around your house is remarkable, unless, of course, hundreds of dollars worth of unwanted merchandise shows up on your doorstep.
When it comes to answering those tough questions or getting that extra help around the house, Alexa, the voice service that powers Amazon Echo, is just a voice command away.
All you have to do is ask.
Mayali Sanchez helps sell the system and even uses it at home.
She's kind of like my little right hand. So for example, if we're cooking, we like to try new recipes. Once a week, we like to try something new.
Alexa adapts to speech patterns and vocabulary. She can control your music and video library, set an alarm, control the thermostat, even turn off the lights, and it's keeping local retail stores busy.
Here at Best Buy, Amazon Echo has been flying off the shelf, but no worries, you can still come into the store and ask Alexa for help.
Hello, I'm Alexa.
The device is convenient, but it's also raising concerns over security and privacy.
These devices don't recognize your specific voice. And so we have these situations where you have a guest saying, or you have a child who is talking and accidentally orders something because the device isn't aware that it's a child versus a parent.
Which is exactly what happened today during our morning show when Jim and Linda were talking about a child who accidentally bought a dollhouse and 4 pounds of cookies.
I love the little girls taking on Alexa ordered me a dollhouse.
As soon as Jim said that, viewers all over San Diego started complaining their Echo devices had tried to order dollhouses. It's a common problem experts say can be avoided.
Sometimes the settings are on, the device that's communicating. And so you need to go into those settings and look at what they are and what can you change.
Stephen Cobb, a senior security internet researcher, says the Federal Trade Commission is already looking into voice command devices and toys to make sure the technology is safe and secure. For now, he recommends do your research to keep your personal information controlled and protected.
Down the road, the technology will be more sophisticated, where it probably will be able to identify individuals and only registered people can access it.
Okay.
Amazon says shop.
Yeah, so I think that pretty much gives the gist of the video, and I think it's on YouTube, so you can always watch the full videos and more on YouTube. Okay, so let's move on, and where there is a, let's say, challenge, there is a way. So the platforms that we saw maybe 2 slides back, all of them have security features. Now, certain suits certain application, another platform suits another application, or so on. End of the day, I like to say this always, that the system is only as good as the implementer. So the implementation is extremely important to set things right and to get the best of the system. Again, one thing that I like to say, Amazon's Alexa is indeed an amazing product. I mean, I can call it let's say, engineering marvel. Okay, so these things happen. Yeah, and this is, let's say, always what we call as continuous improvement in the industry, and caution is always needed. Yeah. So I think one of the terms that we have been always hearing in every part of business, and I think the 15 minutes that I was outside, I was chatting with Oliver, with Dr. Song, Abhishek, a lot of people here, and digital transformation comes in pretty much every talk of business that you see. I mean, there is Uber, there is Google, and these guys are transforming the business or disrupting the business. Yeah, and as such, all the companies or every company who is in business is trying to transform itself digitally. Yeah? Now, IoT is one, let's say, platform that enables any company to transform its business in particular but great ways. Yeah? So we'll see a little bit about what companies are trying to do, okay, and how many companies are leveraging on, let's say, or trying to, or let's say, deciding to use IoT as a one of the vehicle for digital transformation. Yeah, and this was a survey conducted in the US, so maybe Asian perspective the figures might change a bit, but it gives us a fair idea that in 2016, which just we finished, 73% of the companies already were implementing IoT. They were at the beginning stage of implementation, but 73% of the companies were already implementing IoT in their business. Yeah? Out of these, let's say 43% were doing it to reduce their costs of business. Yeah, as we saw, the petrol saving, the energy savings, and so on. Yeah, this is a little bit of we can call it as, let's say, Industry 4.0 part of IoT as well. Yeah, and these companies normally are termed as enterprise, because these are companies, they have their own business, they are doing this for themselves. So the general term in the industry is enterprise. Yeah? And 66%, which is even a bigger percentage of companies who are going into IoT, are called MSPs, or what we call as managed service providers. Yeah? We have a gentleman from SIFI here whom I met, and I think he can later talk a lot about this as well. So what managed service providers are doing is they are aiming at growth, using IoT to grow the business. Yeah? And you would have heard things like software as a service, yeah? Or marketing as a service, or pretty much anything as a service, HR as a service. Yeah? And so this is what IoT is enabling, a digital transformation for companies who are trying to do that. And this is major part of the $7 billion that we were talking about in the earlier slides. So this is a little graphic which shows the changes or transformation in the business models of the companies. And usually this applies to big ticket items. Okay? Like let's say, I just picked up some cartoons here, but aeroplane engines, yeah? Or the earth digging equipment like Caterpillar, like GE, and so on. Or let's say any big thing, maybe MRI scanner, for example, if somebody's from medical industry. So anything that's big ticket, we need to go through several rounds and rounds of negotiation. Okay, why? Because the price tag is very big. Okay, and the person who, let's say, the company who develops it, builds it, they get the money only one time. Okay, so this is a little scale where x-axis left side is one-time revenue, right side is recurring revenue, and every company wants to have a recurring revenue today. Trust me. Yeah? And this is a product, and on the y-axis up is service. Yeah? So the transformation is putting these products as a service. Today, Rolls-Royce, who is the biggest engine maker, doesn't sell their engines. And what do? Okay, they charge by the energy that is generated. Okay, and we'll see this some of this in next screens, and maybe earth digging equipment charged by the earth that is dug. Okay, and how is this enabled is with IoT, because you know exactly what amount of earth is dug. Okay, you know exactly what amount of energy is generated. So there is where the little small but extremely important part that IoT plays in this transformation. Okay, so what is called commonly as product as a service, and I'm not sure it is a word, but I like to call it provises. And I just made up this word because it's like just take few letters of product and take few letters of services, and you make something like services, provises. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned, the product as a service is no more a talk. This is for real. Okay. And a company I mentioned, Rolls-Royce, who uses Microsoft Azure IoT platform, and you can go to Microsoft website and you can learn a lot of these. You can see Rolls-Royce members talking, presenting what they're doing about IoT. Oops. Okay, so the first screen was more about managing the engines and then charging, managing the charges. The second part is more about knowing what exactly is happening in the engine and then predicting what might go wrong, and then servicing or changing those particular parts before they go bad. Okay, now you can imagine huge amount of cost benefit that IoT can offer in this way, and these are the cost savings that Rockwell Automation is talking about, anybody is talking about. What it means to us, even though let's say for a moment we are not from the industry, is less delayed flights, and that's something that I'm sure everybody will appreciate. I do as a frequent traveler. It's a little bit closer to home. Today we are glad to have Mr. Oliver Tian here. His organization supports and does the IoT exhibition in Singapore. Last year they did a great job. I was there. Dr. Bhavan Balakrishnan was there as the opening guest of honor speaker, and we are glad to have the smart city initiative already. So this slide apparently came to me from one of my colleagues who is in finance, Michelle. Actually, she's sitting behind, and she said, Ajit, you're working on IoT, have a look at this. And this is a POSB tag, where the parents can actually control how much the child spends every day, and they get immediate alerts on the phone, where the child is spending their money. Now, when I was showing this to my wife, her question was, so what's the difference? Even the, what you call the card, our transit link card can do that, they can spend. But the little difference that IoT makes here is with transit link card, you top up once and then you have no control. Yeah, but here you have control in those little, every small spend. So IoT is all about giving you that extra, ability to control things and therefore trust things out. Okay. This is a little bit again chin, but please bear with me and try if you can get. This is Forrester, what we call as the impact map, or heat map they call it. Yeah, and as you would imagine, red is something that's mature. Red is something that's red hot. Yeah, and making impact already on the industry. The next colors are the next in line, and a little scale is here. So you have brown as hotter or hot and blue as cool. Okay, so which industries have really already made an impact? As you can see again, let's say high-tech production, okay, which is a little bit merging with Industry 4.0, transportation, retail, and government. Now IoT is one technology where government and industry has probably come almost at the same time, or in some countries or some places government is ahead of the industry in IoT, and that's why you call it a smart nation, smart healthcare, smart cities, and so on. Yeah. But what's the next topic? What's the next field that is coming up to be red hot? And that's healthcare. Okay. And that's what Dr. Insu Song is going to talk about after this lecture. So I can't wait to finish mine so that I can hear a lot from him in a while. Okay, again, yeah, as I said, always when it gets a little heavy, I try to add a little joke. One more term that we would have heard of in terms of IoT is quantified self. Okay, where we quantify ourselves. How much I breathe, how many heartbeats am I running, how much I have run, how many kilometers, how many steps. Yeah, and no wonder when this data is all linked, you don't feel so lonely, or you don't feel you're running alone always. Yeah? It's a little joke on this, but again, this is again a reality in Singapore that we are, and you would have seen already, and a lot of us would have already signed up for the the step counter ban that Health Promotion Board is giving away and taking the step challenge. Now, trust me, today insurance companies are charging. Are you a smoker? I mean, I'm not asking this question to anybody, and you have the right of secrecy and privacy here. But insurance company asks this. And they would say, okay, you're a smoker, okay, you pay this many dollars more per month. You're a non-smoker, okay, you pay this many dollars less per month. In near future with IoT, what I can imagine and what I can see is they'll say, okay, are you walking this 10,000 steps every day? Yes, okay, then you have this much discount. Yeah, or you can go as a consumer, we can go to insurance company and say, hey, I'm walking this many steps, so come on, give me this discount. Yeah, and they can track. 6 months later, they may come back, oh, you're not walking 10,000 anymore, you're walking only 6,000. So this is little, enabling. Yeah, I know I'm going a little bit too far in, exaggerating a little bit, but this is something that IoT can enable in our daily lives. Okay? Now, again, a Smart Nation initiative, where, we have healthcare, which is the next red hot topic. But I'd like to show you this little mini robot where, we interacted ourselves and we worked with it ourselves. There's a little company in Thailand called SIAA, and my colleague David and Francis worked with them, and they made this project a success. They have this robot deployed in a healthcare, elderly care, environment. Okay, so when we worked on this, we got inquiries also for fall detection. Okay, what our little sensor of Sharp is doing in this robot is it detects the heartbeat and the breathing rate. Yeah, and therefore the robot can know where the human is, because they used to use heat sensors before, and sometimes the robot points to a window and keeps talking there, because heat is coming from the window. But with our heartbeat sensor, it becomes much more accurate. Yeah? So these are little advancements in technology that is happening. I'm glad to be part of it. And again, instead of talking, I'll let Nija to play you the little video of this application. I think it's anyway in Japanese, and you have subtitles there, so we don't need much big volume there. 'I'm sorry, I couldn't get a K-pop song. Okay, thank you. So again, if you like to, you can always watch, type in Dinsow, D-I-N-S-O-W on YouTube, and there you have the video that comes up, a couple of them actually. And this is, again, implementation that we are, as a Sharp, have been glad to be part of, in a very good cause, helping the elderly. So I think from here, I'll pass to the star of the day, Dr. Insu Song, and he's going to talk to us more about smart health technology. Maybe Thiru, I think you should do the introduction. Hand over to you. Thank you. Thanks so much.